How's it going, guys? Basically, what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of videos is we're going to build a tune together step by step. I'm going to do it in a couple of parts so it's easy to follow. You can come back to each part. I know I've already been doing them on the DMB live tutorials page, but that's more for live and a bit of interaction for people who either give live feedback or something along the lines of, yeah, you should do this, or how do you do this, or oh, I didn't know how to do this. So basically, this one's going to be more the just something you can follow, just something to watch to fall back on. Um, I think, as far as I know, this is going to be pretty much on Rewired only in the VIP section. So I will still be doing the tutorials that are live, and I will be able to do it bits and bobs. This will be more of an in-depth one where I can actually concentrate on doing things how I do them, showing you some shortcuts around Fruity Loops themselves. Show you some differences as well, because obviously when it's live, I'm cut for time. I don't want people to be leaving straight away because I'm explaining something too in depth or something along them lines. So basically, what I'm going to start teaching you on this one mainly is obviously mixing bars, how you can and other ways you can do it. I'm also thinking something along with how to use your samples properly, um, and just basically user interface issues that you might have. If you ever get stuck on a tutorial, you can always ask me. I'm down on Facebook as Dean Burns, or you can always inbox Steve Bruce. He owns Rewired Records. He's pretty much we use FL. A lot of people have moved to Cubase and such, but we'll just stick to what we know at the moment. I would advise you not to skip really, because you might something you might be stuck with might be in the section you've skipped. I will try and keep them reasonably short timed, but we'll just get straight away. We'll just get into it straight away. So, what I want to first teach is how to add samples into Fruit Loops, etc. These folders that I've got on the side here are literally folders that I have elsewhere. So if you give us a sec, I have the Rewired sample pack there. All you got to do is hover over Fruit Loops and drag it over to here. That's all you need to do, and that'll enable this. If you ever add them and they're not there, click this reread section, and that'll basically just redo Fruit Loops. It'll scan everything again. Say if you're currently copying something into a folder, you just clicking that, and that'll keep telling Fruit Loops there's something else there, and it'll scan and scan and scan. It's just a quick way of doing it if you don't want to wait for this large sample pack to export or something. So first thing I'm going to show you is samples and how the samples work. A lot of the time when we're using samples on this, I tend to use samples, base samples from packs. Can't afford hardware. It's stupidly expensive as it is. So the way I work is I just add multiple bases together from sample packs, for example, like the Rewired Makina Production Tools Vol 1, and I'll make my own out of it. So I'm going to show you the difference between when you've actually done something with the sample and when you've just left it. So we're going to mute everything else. This here is volume on and off, mute and solo. Anytime you get any questions or you wonder what I'm pressing, if you look in the top left corner, just there, wherever you go over it, it'll tell you what's there. Same with keys, same with dials, it will always tell you what's there. See what I mean? So if you ever don't know what it is, just literally hover over it and it should come up with what it is in the top corner. Right, so this here is what it's going to be like with a sample if you don't play with the attack, sustain, etc. So if you listen carefully, it's sharp on C because that's where it was originally cut from. But then as it moves to G and G minor, you'll hear it starts to drag out a little bit. So this is it. Now that's because it's overlapping. If you look at the size of the sample here, wrong one. See, that's quite a long sample. We don't want it like that, right? So what you do is, I'm just going to cut this. Yeah, I've already done it. So what you want to do is you want to go into this here, which is envelope and instrument settings. if you're using FL12, by the way, I'm not sure if FL's previous will say this kind of stuff. And what you want to do is you want to click volume. You want to leave delay as it is. You want to turn the attack down, hold down, decay down, sustain down, and release down. Now listen to this now. Much better. See, it's clean. You're basically just making the sample start from the beginning, where it's I think it's mainly where it's loudest. If you're using a sample where there's a delay between when the sample starts, when the sound starts. Sorry. So, for example, if we go into this, right click on this and go edit. If you have a space here, if it is silence and then the sample starts, what you want to do is you just want to cut the silence out. Click this, and this will grab what you've just cut. So if you've got rid of that awkward silence at the start, see, I've just done that wrong because I just selected the whole thing. There we go. So first we're going to get, what I tend to do is I'm going to build a bass as I would. So I start from the bottom. Right, then we want a mid. Right, so we haven't got much of a mid on there. That's alright. Now that's a decent one. Oh, right, this is another thing as well. Instead of doing this volume thing where you change the attack, hold, decay, sustain, and release every time, one thing that you can do is if you just right click and clone, it'll open a new one with the same sample you've cloned, but the settings will be cloned. Then you just see how much time, instead of you doing it one by one for everything, just if it's basses, then just do that. So we'll add that. It's nice that. There we go. So that's basically how I would do it. So we would start with the low. Oh, another thing I forgot. Right, so if you left click on this, this is what the sample that you're selecting. So we've selected UMS bass 3. So because we've got that green dot, that green bit here, we right click, channel routing. We're going to move this here because it's selected into here. So if you right click on other ones, then you can add other ones. This won't affect anything. This is basically where you can do your volume, your EQ, your effects, delay, anything like that. So we've got the bass at first. If we add something else, see what I mean? There is another way of doing it if you want to save time. If you're a proper neat freak, like I don't know, a breakdown or someone, you can move the number up and that'll move the sample into that selected one, but then you don't get the name for it. See, this is in 25, but it doesn't say what it is. So if you right click, route it yourself, it'll give you the name. There we go. Let's get that one. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to EQ these each individually to start off with. So we're going to boost the mid a bit, the low, move this. Bear in mind, everyone's everyone's EQ preference is different. I tend to do it this way. Other people tend to do it other ways. It's down to you how you think it sounds, but you want a rough idea of what it's going to be like. So for bass, you want to boost the bass a bit and cut the mid because you've got a mid that will cover that. So next, we're going to boost this, get rid of this. This one's more of a grit, so I'm going to boost this. Well, always pick parametric EQ too, because you get the graph, and you can see wherever it's shining the most is where the frequency is standing out the most. Again, you can look in the top left corner, it'll tell you what hertz we're running at. So, see what I mean? There we go. Next. do that. There we go. Right, so that's the idea of ideally how we want to EQ it. Remember, you can pause them at any time, work it from that. So next we're going to go for our kick, which is a unbelievable kick. Love out like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop the mid round about 650 mark. Angry sausage. Now we're just going to turn it down a bit. So we're still round about, even though the EQ on the kick, stab, contra, bass, all that's done, we're still hitting minus 3 dB. That's ideally where you want to be when you're coming to working with tracks, as what they call a mix down. I think that's probably best of Steve's idea, because his tracks at the end always just sound amazing when it comes to being clean. So I'd go back to him for that. So next we're going to do is we're going to work on the perks. So we'll add this into the playlist. This is where you put all of your things from your patterns and stuff like that from these. So if we put number 2 in, let's get some perk on the go. So what I tend to do is I tend to put 2 claps, nice and clean. There we go. Turn them down a bit. You want one to have its own pattern, its own rhythm, sorry. There we go. Then we want the other one to just be on the kick. This is why we drop the mid a little bit on the kick, because the clap tends to give it the boost it needs. So let's just make sure we're playing the pattern, obviously. There we go, got a nice little pattern on that one. Claps you want separate all the time. It's a lot easier. So we're gonna just blow that across there. Do a full bar there. And now we're gonna go into pattern 2. Put them there. Then we'll get the volume correct. So we'll add both of these because they're both around about the same tone anyway. We're just gonna add these into here. Run them on top of each other. There we go. Right, now I'm gonna add some of these. One that's quite aggressive. Not that aggressive though. If you're doing just something where you want to cut the in or the out, you can gather what that means. In is the start of the sample, out, end of the sample. So about there. And then fill that the same. Turn this down. Then we have pattern 3. And it would help you get it right. Okay. So we'll just quickly jump into this. Grab this. Again, with the EQ, put them in here so they're different. There we go. So now that's the one. Okay. There we go. Still around about -3. So, you know now that later on you can make a full... Oh, you've got basically everything you need there to make your main thing. Right, so we're going to move out the way. So I'll have 1, 2, 3. So we're going to put these here. And here. So basically, mixing bars. This is why it's a good thing to put everything a little bit separate as well. I didn't used to do this. I used to be lazy and just put it all in one pattern. but that was as I was still learning. So we're gonna add all these over here. Oh. There and there. We're correct. I'm not with it today. Right, so this is generally how your mix and vibes are going to go. So you'll have a clap or a kick to begin with. Right, we're going to use some effects from Steve's pack here. Just want one shots and stuff. I like that. I don't think I've used this yet. Nice. Right, so we just need some one shots really. I don't know where else we can get these from. Maybe there's some just notes in here. No. Try his other pack. Oh, that's the one run. Dafty. Effects. Oh, rises. We need one shots really. Vocals would be a good thing to use as well. If I remember correctly, we'll go here. Vocals. I think it's actually just there. There we go. One shots.
Back to the penalty. Back.
So we want to put this on generic so it still keeps the same tone. I also need to just get it a little bit. There we go. When you move one sample, that will affect all samples that are the same. So if we move this one, it'll affect this one. Okay.
Back to the old school.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
Something like that. So we could cut this, put this in the mixer as always, put a little bit of delay on it. Bit of ping pong. Ping pong.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. There we go. So from there, you're gonna go to crashes. That was a good crash. That. You add these back in as well. Move these to the top so they don't clash. Right. So we want to also add them into this.
1, 2, 3.
There we go.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Apologies, I forgot about the volume.
1, 2, 3.
Do you get what I mean? You see where it's going there? So you'll have little one shots. You can have just a straight kick. You can have it so it starts with, if we just take one of these, that one there, move it into something completely fresh out the way. You can start like this. We'll put the brush tool on so we can put more on.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
See, that's the ideal how I like to start my mixing bars. So for this bit, this section here, I would just have like a straight bass line, something along them lines. A couple of bits where you'd just do something like put that there. So you can have fun with the mixing bars. And then for this bit here, move that back. This was where you'd have your variation kicking in. Don't know what you'd want to add. That is completely down to you. I tend to do chancy bits. That's what I'm known for. I like my chancy stuff on this bit. But I like to just... This is where you kind of want the tune to set its tone of how it's going to be. Whether it's going to be one of them ones where it's not... I can't explain it. Not in a disrespectful way, but it's not a serious track. It's going to be like a take the piss kind of track. It's going to be something where you can tell the vocal's going to be good. You have some vocal cuts coming in here. So you know what I mean with that there. If we have like an acid on top of that with maybe a Rewired vocal in the back, all doing things there, that kind of sets that serious tone for the mixing bars. Like I said, I'm going to keep these tutorials short. This will be just basically the beginner's guide to like FL really, and the bits and bobs that you can do to start your track off. You can start wherever you want with it really. You can start with some people tend to start from the breakdown, which is what I used to do. But my suggestion is if you're going to do something with a track, start from the mixing bars. Therefore, you set your mixing bars at a level where you need to match it every single time. So, for example, say you start on the breakdown, you could follow in with a really powerful melody, but then your bass line won't fit. Like I tell this to anyone anyone asks for help, I always tell them the same thing. Your samples, your VSTs, and your sounds have to merge together. They have to sound good together. You can't just fling anything in. Like it has to all roll together. It's got to have. I can't explain it. I know I should be in this tutorial, but it's just got to work together. You can't be having some Spanish kick with a northeast stab with a trance lead. It just wouldn't work. It could probably be fun, but it probably wouldn't work the same. It's best to set a tone. So start from your mixing bars. Like I said, have some one shots, so it's good for mixing in. Have some bits where you can flick it in with little bits of vocal. And then for your third bar or fourth, I recommend doing a minute in, which is what we've got here. I reckon that while your beginning should be your beginning term, how you should start your tracks. So obviously you'll have 64 of what we start with the beginning. You'd have 64 of a bass line with some flicks, and then you'd have 64 of what you could be bringing into it, whether it be acid, Rewired, anything like that kind of thing. So what I'll do is I'll leave it there for now. I am planning to do more volumes of this. When I'm not at work, I will continue with this track. I'll actually save this as, Rewired tutorial, because that's what it's going to go with. So the next one, I'll give you a heads up anyway. The next one that we're going to be doing is how to basically merge into the breakdown from where you're at without it sounding abrupt. That's basically where you want to be from there. Obviously, we're going to add some more effects. We're going to have some more perk. I'll probably clean it up a little bit more at the end. We need a snare roll. You'll understand the difference of how important a snare roll is to a track. It brings it in the boost, ready to go kind of thing. But yeah, hopefully you'll get something from this tutorial, whether you started or whether you already know something. Even if you're just learning, so you can learn FL and you've already used it on a different DAW. But yeah, so I'll be passing this to Steve, and then from there we'll get part 2 on the go shortly. Cheers.